President, my question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. An article in The Australian today revealed that the Lebanese Muslim Association, an organisation awarded a $1.65 million social cohesion grant by the Albanese government, joined with the extremist organisation Hizb ut-Tahrir to host a rally last night to mark the one-year anniversary of October 7, where speakers celebrated terrorist attacks as a day of celebration. Minister, do you think it's appropriate to give taxpayers' money for social cohesion to an organisation which supported a protest on the anniversary of the largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust?
Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Well, first, in relation to the last part of the question, I think we are united in our condemnation of what occurred on October 7th. It was an atrocity. It was not only the greatest loss of Jewish life in any single day since the Holocaust, but there were also so many other Israeli citizens who were harmed and are living with that. We also have hostages who are still held. We, I think, are united in our condemnation of Hamas, which is, as I keep reminding people in this place, a terrorist organisation that is dedicated to the destruction of the Jewish state and the Jewish people, and they are rightly condemned, as they should be. In relation to Hizb ut-Tahrir, I condemn those hateful comments, and I've consistently done that, just as I have been clear about. I have done so publicly, Senator.
Order. Senator McKenzie, order.
And I have condemned the flying of the Hezbollah flag and symbols, and I think we all should. And we are at a time when we see a lot of division in our society.
Minister, please resume your seat. Senator Patterson.
Thank you, President. On a direct relevance, I asked the Minister about a grant for social cohesion to an organisation that hosted a rally celebrating October 7. She's not responded 90 seconds into the question.
Right. Thank you, Senator Patterson, and I note that your question was broader than that, and I think the Minister is being relevant, and I will continue to listen carefully. Minister Wong.
Thank you. I was responding to the last part of your question, Senator Patterson. In relation to Hizb ut-Tahrir, we would say, I've said previously to you, Senator Patterson, that we take advice about our security intelligence agencies about where to list organisations. I won't speculate publicly about that.
Order.
In relation to the grant, the advice I have is no government funding has supported such events or rallies. $25 million was provided to the Australian Jewish community and to support, and $25 million to support Palestinian.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Patterson, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Separate media reports revealed that United Muslim Australia's Sheikh Ibrahim Dadoon praised the October 7 terrorist attacks at this rally, claiming victory is coming soon. This comes after the Assistant Minister for Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs, Julian Hill, invited United Muslims Australia to also apply for a social cohesion grant from the Commonwealth Government. Will the Prime Minister intervene to rescind these grants and ensure no more taxpayer money will go to organisations promoting extremist and anti-Semitic views?
Thank you, Senator Patterson. Minister Wong.
Thank you. What I was going to go on to say, the advice I have is $25 million was provided to support the Australian Jewish community and $25 million to support Australian Palestinian, Muslim, Christian and other communities affected by the conflict in the Middle East. Funding to the Lebanese Muslim Association was for trauma support, mental health and youth-related work. Now, I understand the point that the Senator is making. I would respond in relation to was it Mr. Bedouin, I think was the quote that you talked about. I'm sorry, I must have misheard you. Certainly in relation to the speaker at the rally that I thought you were referencing, the Home Affairs Minister the Minister for Immigration has made clear he has asked his department to conduct a visa check.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Patterson, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. At the same event, an American guest speaker, Khaled Badoon, said, "Today is not a day that is full of mourning. Today is a day that marks celebration." The Department of Home Affairs later confirmed he is travelling here on a visa. How did Mr Badoon pass the character test for this visa, given that he publicly praised slain Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah on social media 1 week ago?
Thank you, Senator Patterson. Minister Wong.
Thank you, Senator Patterson. That was the speaker which I was referencing in my previous answer. First, I'd say very clearly that the government, all of us, condemn his comments. There is nothing to celebrate about October 7th, and it's a revolting thing to suggest that there is. As I understand, the Minister said clearly he's asked for advice from the department so he can consider this person's visa status. Obviously, the information that I'll take advice on the information that you outline. I would assume that would not have been brought to the Minister's attention before the department issued a visa.
Oi legends, strap yourselves in, because today's saga is the kind of Canberra chaos that makes you want to grab a cold one, sit back, and just watch the circus unfold. We're diving headfirst into one of those rare Senate moments where the temperature actually rises above polite outrage and someone gets absolutely torched, politically, of course. This one stars Senator James Patterson, armed with the receipts and the righteous fury of a bloke who's just realised his tax dollars are funding a comedy he never bought tickets to, and opposite him, the ever-poised Penny Wong, trying desperately to juggle damage control, diplomacy, and that classic Labor tactic, answer every question except the one you're asked. Before we wrap up this Parliament pile-up, where Penny Wong dodged, Patterson dropped bombs, and Albanese's government tried to spin a $1.6 million disaster into a social cohesion fairy tale. Smash that like button like you're deleting another Labor talking point. Subscribe if you're sick of Canberra cover-ups, and grab the Who Voted for This shirt, links in the description. The scene, the Senate chamber, fluorescent lights, a hint of boredom in the air, and that unmistakable energy that says, something's about to go down. Patterson stands up, crisp suit, calm demeanour, but with the glint of a man who's just found gold buried in a government grant list. And with that steady, surgical tone of his, he drops the political equivalent of a grenade. President, he begins, my question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. He pauses, lets the silence hang. Every good storyteller knows you've got to build tension before you throw the punch. An article in the Australian today revealed that the Lebanese Muslim Association, an organisation awarded a $1.65 million social cohesion grant by the Albanese government, joined with the extremist group Hizb Tahrir to host a rally last night marking the one-year anniversary of October 7th. Boom. The words hit like a thunderclap in a library. Even the coffee-fueled backbenchers perk up. Where speakers, Patterson continues, celebrated terrorist attacks as a day of celebration. Minister, do you think it's appropriate to give taxpayer money for social cohesion to an organisation which supported a protest on the anniversary of the largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust? And mate, that's when you can almost hear the collective national jaw drop. The question's brutal, precise, and politically nuclear. Every lens in the chamber zooms straight to Penny Wong. Now, Penny's been in more Senate skirmishes than most of us have had hot dinners. She's sharp, composed, and knows how to turn a verbal ambush into a poetry recital. But this one's different. You can see it in her eyes, that, oh, here we go, look of someone realizing she's about to walk a rhetorical tightrope in steel-capped boots. She clears her throat, classic stalling tactic. Oh, thank you, Senator Patterson, she begins, her voice measured, rehearsed. We are united in our condemnation of what occurred on October 7th. It was an atrocity, and off she goes, describing the horrors of that day, the hostages, the innocent victims, all true, all heartbreaking, but also, very obviously, not the answer. Patterson just watches, motionless, his expression somewhere between confusion and disbelief. Because while Wong's talking about tragedy and unity, the question about taxpayer money is floating around the chamber like a fly at a barbecue, impossible to ignore, but she's doing her best. After about 90 seconds of moral clarity and zero funding specifics, Patterson finally snaps. On direct relevance, he cuts in. I asked the Minister about a grant for social cohesion to an organisation that hosted a rally celebrating October 7th. She's not responded 90 seconds into the question. And somewhere, an entire nation collectively mutters, he's got a point. The chamber stirs, murmurs ripple like a wave through the red seats. Even the President looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. I think the Minister is being relevant, she says cautiously, which is Senate speak for please don't make me referee this disaster. Penny nods politely, like she's just been told to keep talking until everyone forgets what the question was. So she doubles down. The advice I have, she continues, is that no government funding has supported such events or rallies. Translation: technically, the government didn't pay for that particular party, just the group throwing it. $25 million was provided to support the Australian Jewish community and $25 million to support Australian Palestinian, Muslim, Christian, and other communities affected by the conflict. Classic government response: when in doubt, bury the headline in a buffet of statistics. The kind of answer that says everything except we stuffed up. But Patterson isn't done. Not even close. You can almost hear the Mission Impossible music in the background as he goes in for the first supplementary strike. Separate media reports, he says, revealed that United Muslims Australia's Sheikh Ibrahim Dadoun praised the October 7th terrorist attacks at this rally, claiming victory is coming soon. This comes after Assistant Minister for Citizenship Julian Hill invited United Muslims Australia to also apply for a social cohesion grant. Will the Prime Minister intervene to rescind these grants and ensure no more taxpayer money will go to organisations promoting extremist and anti-Semitic views? The room goes dead quiet again. Even the stenographer's fingers freeze mid-air. Wong exhales slowly. You can almost see the gears turning. She pivots back to her safe zone: context, nuance, bureaucratic reassurance. The funding to the Lebanese Muslim Association, she says, was for trauma support, mental health, and youth-related work. And look, maybe it was. But try telling that to Australians watching from home who just heard $1.65 million and celebrating terrorist attacks in the same sentence. The optics alone could light up the entire eastern seaboard. Then comes the cherry on top, the guest speaker. Patterson's second supplementary hits harder than a magpie in spring. At the same event, he says, an American guest speaker, Count Baroun, said today is not a day full of mourning. Today is a day of celebration. The Department of Home Affairs confirmed he's traveling here on a visa. How did he pass the character test, given he publicly praised slain Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah on social media a week ago? You can practically feel the heat radiating from the government benches. That's not a question, that's a carpet bomb. Penny Wong's face twitches, just slightly. Oh yes, she says. That was the speaker I was referencing earlier. And she launches into full damage control mode. The government condemns his comments. There is nothing to celebrate about October 7th. The Minister for Home Affairs has asked for advice from the department so he can consider this person's visa status. Translation: we didn't know, but now that you've pointed it out on live television, we're definitely going to pretend we were on it. And that's where the spectacle really begins. You can see the contrast clear as daylight, Patterson with laser-focused precision, cutting through bureaucratic fog like a hot knife through butter. Wong, eloquent as ever, trying to hold the moral high ground while dodging the elephant stampede in the room, the government's cash trail. It's a perfect slice of modern politics, mates. One senator digging for accountability, and another dancing around a minefield made of taxpayer receipts. By this point, social media's probably on fire. Clips of Wong fumbling through her response are already halfway to Twitter, X, with captions like Labour defends terror-linked funding and Patterson drops the hammer. You can almost hear Sky News producers sprinting to the editing bay. And here's the thing, no one's arguing that social cohesion isn't important. Australia needs it, but the way this grant was handled, it's the optics, the timing, the tone. You don't hand out $1.65 million to an organisation that later co-hosts a rally with extremists and expect no one to notice, especially not when that rally is marking the anniversary of one of the darkest days in modern Jewish history. It's like throwing a peace barbecue with a matchbox factory and acting surprised when the soldiers catch fire. Penny Wong, to her credit, does what seasoned politicians do best. She tries to stay composed while the narrative collapses around her. Every sentence is layered with empathy, diplomacy, and a quiet plea for the clock to run out. But Patterson? He's relentless. Calm, precise, and clearly enjoying the moment where government spin meets public outrage. You can almost imagine him thinking, this isn't about scoring points, it's about holding the line. And in that chamber, that's exactly what he does. Every time Wong swerves, he gently pulls her back with another fact, another citation, another carefully phrased question. It's like watching a chess grandmaster play against someone whose pieces keep disappearing mid-move. And poor Albanese, not even in the room, but his name's being tossed around like a political boomerang. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Penny Wong's answers, it's about what kind of vetting process this government actually has. The Prime Minister loves a good, we'll review that later statement, but when the money's already out the door and the headlines are screaming, Labour funds extremist rally, later isn't soon enough. Meanwhile, somewhere in Sydney, the Lebanese Muslim Association's PR department is probably having the worst week of their lives, fielding calls, drafting statements, desperately trying to separate their trauma programs from the rally that's now being dissected on the Senate floor. And that's the irony of it all, mates. This whole saga started with a grant meant to build social cohesion, yet here we are, with one of the most divisive Senate exchanges in recent memory. If cohesion was the goal, the only thing united right now is the collective outrage of Australian taxpayers. By the halfway mark of the debate, Wong's responses start to sound like a looping voicemail message. We condemn. We support. We take advice. The department is reviewing, all valid, all politically safe, but all missing the one thing people want to hear: accountability. The kind that doesn't come with a press release. And Patterson, steady as a rock, just keeps pressing. He doesn't need theatrics. His calm delivery makes the hits land harder. Every time he says, "Thank you, President," before another question, you know what's coming next, another nail in the coffin of government credibility. It's brutal, but it's clean. No yelling, no grandstanding. Just surgical dismantling. Watching it unfold is like seeing a surgeon operate while the patient insists there's nothing wrong, until you realize the scalpel's labeled "Hansard." At one point, Wong tries to shift the focus entirely, mentioning that $25 million also went to the Jewish community, as if that somehow balances out the ledger of poor optics. But that's not how this works. You don't fix one political fire by lighting another candle. And Patterson knows it. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't shout. He just waits, then calmly points out the contradiction, that the government can't preach unity while bankrolling division, however unintentionally. It's politics in its purest, messiest form, accountability versus avoidance. And the public? Oh, they're watching. Clips of this exchange start circulating faster than Albanese's will consult statements. TikTok edits with dramatic music. Twitter threads calling it the Senate schooling of the year. Even the apolitical crowd, the ones who normally couldn't care less, are suddenly tuned in. Because there's something magnetic about seeing a polished minister finally cornered by plain facts. And look, credit where it's due, Penny Wong has one of the toughest jobs in Canberra. She's articulate, fiercely intelligent, and usually bulletproof under pressure. But this one? This was a train already halfway off the tracks before she even sat down. There's only so much spin you can give a situation where taxpayer money, terrorism, and bad timing collide in the same sentence. The real kicker, though, is what this moment represents. It's not just about one grant. It's about trust, the idea that government oversight actually means something. That someone, somewhere, checks the fine print before the check clears. And that when it doesn't, there's accountability, not just damage control. By the time the exchange wraps up, you can tell Wong just wants it over. She reiterates her condemnation of the rally, insists the department's investigating the visa issue, and promises, as always, to take advice. Patterson sits back down, probably resisting the urge to say, "Gotcha," because at that point, he didn't need to. The silence spoke louder than any mic drop could. And when the gavel finally comes down, the Senate's back to business as usual. But the damage is done. The clip's already viral, the headlines are writing themselves, and the Albanese government's social cohesion narrative just took a body blow. Outside the chamber, pundits are already dissecting every line. Some call it a beat-up, others call it overdue accountability. But to the average Aussie watching from the couch, it's simple. If our money's being spent, we deserve straight answers. Not moral monologues, not bureaucratic filler, just the truth. And that's the beauty of moments like this. They cut through the noise. You don't need a politics degree to understand when someone's dodging. You just know. It's instinct, the same gut feeling you get when a tradie quotes you roughly $400 and hands you a bill for $1,200. So as this Senate smackdown wraps up, we're left with one simple takeaway. The system only works when people like Patterson keep asking the questions everyone else is too polite to raise. And people like Wong, for all their poise, have to actually answer them. Because at the end of the day, politics isn't about which side wins the headline. It's about who's willing to say, "Yeah, we stuffed up, and here's how we'll fix it." Until we get more of that, we'll keep getting scenes like this, senators spinning, taxpayers fuming, and the rest of us watching like it's the season finale of The Bachelor, Canberra edition. So next time you hear social cohesion grant, maybe ask yourself who's really cashing in on the cohesion, the communities, or the politicians looking for good optics. Because right now, it feels like we're funding the world's most expensive group therapy session when no one's listening and everyone's still mad. Anyway, that's it for this political rollercoaster, legends. What a ride. Another day, another scandal, Another Senate stoush that leaves us wondering if anyone in Canberra actually reads the brief before approving the budget. Smash that like button if you enjoyed watching the government try to explain its way out of a burning paper trail. Subscribe if you reckon accountability shouldn't be a rare event. And as always, keep your eyes open, your beers cold, and your politicians on a short leash. Because if we don't hold them accountable, no one will. Grab the "Who voted for this" shirt, links in the description. Till next time, stay sharp, stay cheeky, and remember, in Aussie politics, the truth always comes out. Usually right after question time.